So we have a very unusual road to glory today. I don't want this series going on forever, and due to a minimal amount of recording time I've had over the past couple of weeks, I've decided to try out a different video format, which will hopefully only be necessary for this episode. So what's happening here is, in the last one we left off at the end of the year 4 regular season, I believe, but in this one we're going all the way up through to the end of our stint in the AHL in the form of a recap of each season that passes. That's right, we are completing the AHL in this episode, regardless of how many simulation years it takes. We'll start things out by recapping a couple of key points from the end of year number 4. First, the champions of the AHL were the Toronto Marlies. Our skill coach, Martin Veras, was released and replaced by Will Nickel. Our defensive coach, Doug Mason, was also released and replaced by Frederick Olofsson. After a horrible defensive performance in year number 4, I knew that this was a change that absolutely had to be made. And our season score was 7. And now into the year 5 recap. On July 1st, our owner Doug Armstrong, I believe his name was, sold the team to Benton Four, who takes over as the new owner of the wilkes-barre Scranton Penguins. I was the head coach of the team due to firing our previous head coach, as seen in episode 35, up until January 9th, when I hired Colton Hofford, an offensively minded coach, for the head coach position. We finished year 5 with a record of 34, 36, and 6, pretty well below 500. In the team stats department, for goals for, we were 15th in the league with a 2.91, so not too bad there. But unfortunately for goals against per game, we were 28th in the league with a 3.32. However, I will say that our special teams were pretty good in year number 5. We had our power play sitting 4th with an 18.4% efficiency, and then the penalty kill was also 4th with an 85.7 efficiency. The team's leading scorer was Blackburn with 53 points, and in goal, Booth stood out with a 921 save percentage in 32 games played. If I had to point out a weak spot for this particular season, the 5v5 defense was probably our biggest letdown, especially considering the efficiency of special teams and the offense that was, middle of the road in the league in terms of goals for per game. Calder Cup champions of year number 5 were the Charlotte Checkers. Also happening in this season, our offensive coach, Stefan Reinalter, was released and replaced with Daniel Bachner. And with that, our season score for year number 5 was the worst we've had yet, a measly 3. And on to the year 6 recap. Unfortunately, 2 of our recently hired assistant coaches, both our defensive coach, Frederick Olofsson, and our skill coach, Will Nickel, both decided to retire at the same time, so of course they had to be replaced. We had our new defensive coach, Johannes Nygaard, and then our new skill coach, Mikko Tolvanen, joined the staff. Early on in the season, on October 25th, we traded for winger John McIldoy, still not entirely sure how to pronounce that one, but he had an impressive 6 points in just 2 games played with his former AHL team. In return, we gave up on a decent potential goaltender, but he was with Pittsburgh's ECHL affiliate, the Wheeling Nailers, so obviously with this trade, the idea was to help bolster our scoring. Unfortunately, that trade didn't seem to help us much in the end, because we finished year number 6 with a record of 33, 41, and 2, which is our worst regular season in the wilkes-barre Scranton so far, and maybe even our worst regular season record of our entire Road to Glory series up to this point. Our team stats this year were pretty ugly, to say the least. Goals for, we finished 27th in the league with a 2.59, and then goals against, we finished 29th with a 3.25. So remember how our special teams were actually pretty good in year number 5? Yeah, not the case here. Our power play finished 25th in the league, operating at a 14.6% efficiency, and the penalty kill, honestly, it wasn't that bad. It was at an 80%. However, it was in fact ranked 30th in the league somehow. I guess just the rest of the league was really good at the penalty kill, but not ideal. So what went wrong with this season? Well, the defense was still terrible. We got subpar goaltending most of the year from our Pittsburgh contracted goalie tandem. The offense wasn't there. The special teams did a complete 180 from last season, so put simply, almost everything went wrong this season. See, this is part of the reason why I wanted to do this format for the rest of the time that we were in the AHL, because building a team in the AHL is, well, unfortunately there are just some things that are out of your control, and with how long this series has the potential to go, I didn't want to have several simulation years in a row without really making much progress to even making the playoffs. As it is, we've already gone longer in this series than with the entire Seattle Kraken franchise mode that we had in FHM 7, and we're not even in the NHL yet. So, yeah, that was... I think a video of this style was kind of necessary, honestly, because this easily could have gone like 10, 15, maybe even 20 more episodes without making much progress. Anyway, the leading scorer during this season was our trade acquisition in John McIldoy, who had 47 points, and our goaltender Ritter had a .911 save percentage in 49 games played. The Calder Cup went to the Belleville Senators, and to wrap things up in year number 6, our head coach Colton Hofford was released from his contract, and so the revolving door of coaches continues to rotate, and I am once again behind the bench at this point. And so the season score for year number 6 is 7. And now it's time for year number 7. And during the past offseason, the man himself, Dorian Safetel, was inducted into the Hall of Fame. The man was just incredible. Anyway, regarding the regular season of year number 7, luckily I don't really have to say much about it because we finished first in our division with a record of 40, 28, and 8 with a .579 points percentage. Our goals per game ranked 13th in the league with a 2.96, and our goals against per game ranked 7th in the league with a 2.71. Definitely one of the best defensive teams we've had so far with the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. But despite our 2.96 goals for per game, our power play finished dead last in the league with a 11.4% efficiency. Not good, obviously, but our penalty kill was definitely brighter. It ranked 14th in the league, operating at an 84.1% efficiency. Our leading scorer this season was our captain, Charlie Gilling, who posted 63 points on the year in 74 games played, and our goaltender, Brent Booth, had a .918 save percentage in 48 games played. And now, that brings us to a live commentary of the 2040-2041 playoffs. Alright, so we are now in the playoffs of year number 7. That is right, it is year number 7 now. We've been through 4 seasons since the last time we made the playoffs with these guys. As we see by my staff history, yeah, the last year we made the playoffs was during the 2036-37 season. We are now in the 2040-41 season. Every season in between was pretty bad, to say the least, especially with the season score 7-3-7. But this year we did finish 40, 28, and 8. So not perfect, but I'll take it. You know, we did finish first in the division, second in the conference. Of course, we didn't have as many points as a lot of these teams below us. But still, what matters the most is that we did make the playoffs this year. We are up against the Bridgeport Sound Tigers in round number 1. And in game number 1, we have a 2-0 victory over Bridgeport. Shots were 26-17. And game number 2, unfortunately, is a 6-1 loss. Yikes. Shots are 34-23. So, yeah, just overall not a pretty game for your Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. And we take game number 3 by the score of 4-2. Shots at 37-22. So the series has gone back and forth quite a bit. Yep, this is very much a back and forth series. Bridgeport takes game number 4, 4-1. Shots were 29-26. Actually in favor of your Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, but they take the game 4-1. Game number 5. Come on, Penguins. We have a 5-1 win. Shots were 33-18. So yeah, once again, very much a back-and-forth series going on here. 3 stars of the game, Gilling, Murrick, and Kelly. And we're just going to quick sim game number 6 here. Let's see what happens. We have a 4-2 Bridgeport win. We are going to 7. Telling you, this series has been very unpredictable. Shots were 33-26. We did get the second start of the game with Kelly, but unfortunately, we are headed to game 7 here. It's going to be an interesting one. Here we go. Game number 7. We have a 4-1 win. There you go. We are moving on to round number 2. Shots with 34-28, and that is all she wrote for the series against the Bridgeport Sound Tigers, and we'll see who we're facing in round number 2. And it looks like we have the Hartford Wolfpack, who were 37, 31, and 8 on the regular season. Pretty good matchup. I mean, we did have more points than them during the regular season, but of course that doesn't matter much here. And game number 1 against Hartford, we have a 2-1 win. Shots were 35-24. 3 stars a game, Gilling, Singh, and Kelly. And game number 2 will be a 3-2 win. Shots were 49-31. Wow. What an offensive performance for us. 3 stars of the game, Gravel, McDonald, and Aceto. All right, here we go. Game number 3, we have a 4-0 win. Let's go. Shots at 31-22. 3 stars of the game, Peach, Herbert, and Quick. Here we go. We have 4 opportunities to close out this series versus the Hartford Wolfpack. Let's not use all 4, please. Let's just get some well-earned rest in between now and the next series. So here we go. Simulating game number 4, and we have a 2-0 shutout victory and the sweep of the Hartford Wolfpack. Shots were 33-20, and 3 stars of the game, Aceto, Bolduc, and Herbert. Here we go. We are facing the Toronto Marlies in the third round of these Year 7 Calder Cup playoffs. Certainly look like the toughest team we have faced yet. 43, 23, and 10 on the regular season. And even though we are coming off a sweep of the Hartford Wolfpack, certainly not an opponent to be taken lightly. Here we go. Game 1 versus Toronto. That's going to be a 6-3 Toronto win. Ugh. Shots at 30-27, so we outshot them, but they definitely had some sharpshooters in that game. All right, game number 2. That's a 3-2 Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins win. So we're tied at 1. Shots are 37-30 in favor of your Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. Come on, Penguins, give me a win here. Yes, nice. 4-3 Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins win in game number 3. Shots were 37-26 in favor of Toronto, but we get the win. We go, game number 4. We're up by 1 in the series. And make that a 2-game lead. We're up 3-1 in the series off a 3-2 victory in game number 4. Shots were 48-39. I'm not going to say dominated because it was actually a pretty close game, but still, we put on the pressure offensively, and we are in a great spot now. Here we go. Potential series clinching game against the Toronto Marlies. And indeed it is. We win 4-3 in game number 5. Shots are 39-25 in favor of your Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. And we are off to the Calder Cup Finals once again. Thank you. It's been way too long here in the AHL, man. We have to, this has to be the year. This has to be the year. After failing to win in the finals of year number 3, this absolutely must be our year. And in the finals, we will be facing the Ontario Reign. They are 41-31-4 during the regular season, so we actually had more points than them, but they did have one more win. Of course, regular season records don't matter now, as this is the finals. And may I remind you that, once again, this team does not have any championships under its belt, ever, in its history. Since the 1980s, when they were Fredericton. Of course, they didn't become the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins until 1999, but still, the entire existence of this franchise, they have not one championship under their belts. So let's make it this year. Here we go. Game number 1 versus Ontario. We have a 2-1 win. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Shots are 34-30. Restarts the game, Kelly, Handbridge, and Harvick. Game number 2, we have a 3-2 win. Let's go. Shots were 44-37 in favor of your Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. I'm not going to say much, but I'll just say it's looking good so far. We are in a good spot. Up 2-0 in the series. Let's keep the good times rolling. Here we go. Game number 3. That'll be a 2-0 Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins win. 30-21 in favor of your Penguins. And we're up 3-0 in the series. Just one more. That's all we need. Just one more. Please, boys. Let's make it to the NHL. You know what? The quick sim's been working out for us in this series, so I'm not even going to take any chances into going into an elimination game 4. I'm just going to quick sim this game as well and hope that we can continue what we've been doing for the past 3 games. Here we go. Game number 4. And it's a 3-1 win for your Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, and we are the AHL champions. The Calder Cup goes to Wilkes-Barre Scranton for the first time in their history. Woo! And that means that we are finally headed to the final destination of our Road to Glory series, which of course is the NHL. And there it is, the Calder Cup to Wilkes-Barre Scranton. The Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins are the finals champions, having taken down the Ontario Reign with a 3-1 triumph in the deciding game. Yeah, that's basically it for the AHL, it appears. And we'll check out the playoff stats real quick, and then I guess all that there is left to do after this is to see what NHL team we'll be signing on with. So Grant Kelly had the most points on the roster with 20 in 20 games played. He had a pretty solid regular season too with 53 points in 73 games played. Charlie Gilling, our captain, with 15 points in 20 games played. And then Likachev with 12 points in 20 games played as the center, I'm supposing, of the first line, considering Gilling and Kelly are up there as well. Yeah, that entire line, basically. Then you have Aceto on defense with 11 points in 20 games played. But then after that, kind of drops off a little bit. I mean, you got a lot of depth scoring, that's for sure. A couple guys with 9 points, several guys with 8 points, several guys with 7 points. So yeah, it looks like just all-around contributions from basically everyone on the team. Let's check out goaltenders. And Jim Ritter played all of the games that there were in these playoffs for us. He had a .926 save percentage in 20 games played, and of course 16 wins. So really could not have asked for much more out of him. He had a decent regular season too. Could have been better. He had a .907 save percentage in 33 games played, but whatever. Not complaining at this point because we are moving on to the NHL. And we're not going to have to worry about not having any more control over our roster because, obviously, being in the NHL, we will have complete control over what's happening as opposed to what has happened in the AHL and in the ECHL. It's been fun for sure in the AHL. I mean, obviously, there were a lot of times where it was frustrating for sure. I mean, as we take a look at some of these seasons, particularly both of the seasons in between our playoff runs were really frustrating. But the times that we were in the playoffs, those were really fun. But would I do it again? Not anytime soon. The AHL is definitely a different style of management. The same goes for the ECHL, obviously. But it is definitely good to be getting back to the NHL here soon. And just for posterity, there it is. The Wilkes-Barre Penguins with the 4-0 sweep over the Ontario Reign. Actually, the part of the score is cut off there, considering the Wilkes-Barre Penguins name is so long. But yeah, as we go into the schedule, it is obviously a 4-0 sweep of the Ontario Reign. No team scored any more than 3 goals in any game. So very tight, very defensive, but in the end, we did come out on top. Okay, so awards. We didn't get the best coach or best GM, but what we did get is the playoff MVP, which was our goaltender, Jim Ritter. So good on him. Hopefully the Wilkes-Barre Penguins can keep him around for a little bit. Although obviously what happens beyond July 1st is not in my control. All right, let's see. What is our final season score for our last season in the AHL? So unfortunately, we did not get Manager of the Year. However, we did reach the playoffs. We did have a winning season. We did finish first. We did reach the finals, and we did win the championship. No negative categories. And our total season score is 45, bringing our total career score to a 437. Alrighty then. So I think I'm going to max out motivation. And then I'll put the rest of the 4 into in-game tactics. And now, we advance to July 1st. Well, our only offer from an NHL team is the Ottawa Senators. So I guess we don't really have a choice, do we? We're going to be taking over the Ottawa Senators, it appears. But let's take a look at their history here, just to see what they've been doing as of late. Oh, wow. So they actually do have a championship. 2 years ago, actually. They failed to make the playoffs this past season, but hey, you know, this roster might be pretty close to getting another championship. I mean, maybe they were just ravaged by injury this year. It appears they do have quite a bit of cap on the books, with several contracts in the $6 million or $7 million range. But you know what? Given their recent success, and I mean, obviously, last season they weren't in the playoffs, but 2 seasons ago they won the Stanley Cup. So honestly, this is a pretty attractive place to go for me. So yeah, let's do it. And we are signing with the Ottawa Senators for 5 seasons for $1,700,000. There you go. We are now on our last stop in our road to glory with, of course, the Ottawa Senators. So with that being said, we'll end things off here. And in the next one, we'll get a look at the roster of the Ottawa Senators and see what we can do.